Hello and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Gamerverse Marvel Legends series Captain America vs. Venom from Hasbro. So this is part of the Marvel Legends Gamerverse 2-pack series where a number of Marvel characters have been released in decos reminiscent of how they appeared in various 80s and 90s video games. Here we have Captain America and Venom. This is a bit of an odd one for me. I had originally intended to pick this up, and then I went and cancelled the pre-orders because I've already got a Cap and I've got a Venom, both in pretty much the similar molds and looks, and I just felt it wasn't necessary. And then I started seeing all the reviews for these two figures and I caved. I needed to add them to the collection, so we're going to open it up, we're going to take a look at them, and I will even do a brief comparison time at the end of this video looking at the two figures versus their previous releases. But we have this in the Gamerverse packaging they're currently using, where we've got the pixelated sprites around the borders. We get some pixelated artwork on the sides with our characters, Gamerverse on the top, legal and barcode on the bottom, and then on the back we get a product shot of our two figures within, a cross-sell of sorts, done as that, typical fighting game health bars for the other figures in this line, or some of the other figures in this line, along with a brief bio at the top. Anyway, let's get these figures opened up and take a look at them. So the insert for this is done as one of those sort of matrix grids to reminisce those video games. And then the figures are in standard blister packaging. So the only real accessory we get is a blast effect for Cap's shield, which is done in quite a nice transparent blue, which then darkens out at the sides. I do like the look of that, and hopefully that will clip quite nicely around Cap's shields. Otherwise, it's standard fare with a couple of alternate hands for Venom, which are the sort of standard clawing hands we've seen plenty of times with Marvel Legends figures, along with a Venom head sculpt, or an alternate Venom head sculpt with a really long tongue. I absolutely love this head sculpt. I love that really long tongue with the green slime oozing off it. That is, peak 90s Venom, and I just think it looks absolutely fantastic. We get Venom himself. We get Captain America's shield, which is done with one of those standard C-clip pegs, which have, an unfortunate tendency of snapping. They're, a little too tight to go around the wrists and they end up snapping. What I end up doing is taking them out and replacing them with a little bit of wire or a cable tie or something. You can still get it on or off the figure quite easily, but it removes that snappage. However, that typically does mean that you can't fit the shield onto Cap's back. I never pose him with it on his back, but just be mindful that it's something to do if you want. He gets an alternate pair of hands with thumb up expression, which is quite cool and somehow very Cap-esque. We get a shouting head as he sort of charges into battle, and then we get Cap himself. So here we have our two figures. Immediately out of the packaging, I really do like the colours on these. I know blue isn't a standard colour for Venom, but the blue that he tended to appear as in those 90s arcade games is somehow quite iconic for Venom still at the same time. And I really love the shade of blue they've used here. He comes with a transforming head sculpt where we've got Eddie Brock's face underneath, and we've got that Venom symbiote taking over the long tongue, symbiote trails coming over the top. I love this head sculpt. In fact, I'm going to bring in our previous release Venom here, which came in the Symbiote 3 pack. So you can see it's the same head sculpt as they've previously done. They've just given it some really updated decos on Eddie Brock, giving him some darker hair. There's almost a sort of 5 o'clock shadow along the side of his face. I don't think it's quite there, but definitely sort of around the chin. Those sunken, raged eyes. But the symbiote sculpt itself is identical, but that blue just does wonders for it. Really, really does. I absolutely love it. I'm going to put this back here because we're going to do some more look comparisons with the two figures. Let's move Cap out of the way for a minute. Venom himself cut in, or again, looking at the paint apps, some nice paint apps. I do feel the white could have done with another layer, especially around the legs as they come around the side. You can definitely see the blue bleeding through there, and there's some spots where the paint hasn't chipped, it's just missed it, which is a little disappointing. But it's once it's on a shelf, or if you're into photography or posing them or whatever, it's not something that's going to be noticeable unless you've got it right up to your face. It just is there, and I'm pointing that out. But yeah, that white could have done with another coat, but it doesn't detract from the figure too much. The spider symbol comes up and around. I do feel it's a little squished on the back here. That's obviously to avoid that butterfly joint here. Otherwise it potentially look a little weird as it's extending back and forth. However, I don't know, I feel that something could have been done to, it just feels a little squashed there at the back, but it's not too bad, and you're never really going to see the back of the figure anyway. I like the oval and muscular legs and the way those have molded. The figure himself is on a ball joint and hinge at the head, so you can get him looking up quite far and you can get him looking down quite far. The shoulders are on a butterfly joint which comes all the way back. I mean, you can get that going all the way. That's amazing. I love how far that goes back. That's just spectacular. And it comes forward quite a way as well. The rest of the articulation on the arm is that standard Marvel Legends fare, so we're all familiar with that. Those double hinged elbows. He is on a ball joint at the torso, so you can get him fully moving and flexing around, and then he has also got a stomach crunch to really get those movements and pose abilities there. Coming down, he's got the standard Marvel Legends articulation on the legs. Unfortunately, he's got some pinned legs still, obviously left over from the original mold. But again, they're the standard Marvel Legends fare with that thigh twist and double hinged knees and standard ankle and foot tilts. So this is mostly a remold, reuse of the existing Venom. There have just been some slight differences. So the legs are absolutely identical. The arms are mostly the same. The key difference here is that the bottom half of the arm doesn't have any of those symbiote tendrils molded into it, and instead you've just got a standard muscular arm there, which is probably how the Marvel Legends team got away with using pinless joints for this, because they've had to remold the arm slightly. We've seen the head. The head's identical, but some Art Deco. The Black Venom has some tendrils coming off his shoulders, which aren't here on the new Venom. And as you can see, they've also used a new torso. So the previous torso had the old swivel at the waist and ab crunch here. He's also got butterfly joints which come forward this far, so they come forward pretty much the same, maybe even a little bit more than the blue one. However, they don't go back quite as far as that torso as the new ones do. You can see the difference in how far they are going back there, and there is a clear sort of difference between night and day and how far you can get that arm going back versus the newer one. As I mentioned before, that has resulted in this spider symbol on the back being a little more squished than I would have liked, whereas this one's a little bit wider. So they have used a new torso section for the Venom figure. So there are some slight differences in the two, but they are essentially the same figure. If you have the original Venom and you're quite happy with it, then I don't think you necessarily need to go out and grab this 2-pack just to get the Venom. However, if you want an updated Venom or you like the new deco, then this is an absolute must. I absolutely love this figure. I still can't get over how far back those arms are going. I mean, we can get him sort of in a real superhero raging pose there. That's amazing. I love that. That is an absolute fantastic figure. I really can't fault this figure in any real significant way. He is as perfect as you could reasonably expect a Marvel Legends figure to be, I think. So there we have our Venom. But we are not done. We have that. Come on. Let's get those standing. There we go. We still have the Captain America figure to look at. So here we have Cap in his glorious red, white and blue. And what a Cap he is. He looks very much like a 90s comic book Cap. That stoic, heroic face. Even the raging face, you know. I think I prefer the stoic face, but you do get that raging head sculpt there, which is a nice touch. And they've been done with some really nice blues. I love the blue on this Cap. Same with that Venom there. The star could perhaps have been a little bit bigger. It just feels a little disproportionate at the sides compared to the top and bottom. So it feels a little squished and perhaps could have been widened slightly, but I don't know. Otherwise, you know, he's got some really nice reds on him for the red stripes and the red they've used for the boots and gloves. The white's really, really nice as well. There's no sort of bleed through. I don't know if this is just a white plastic with the red on or if it's blue underneath or what, but there's no bleed of colours between the two. They've worked really, really well. The torso has been done really nicely. I really like that torso. He's got butterfly joints as well, which come forward that far, and then all they go all the way back as well. Look at that. That's fantastic. So I think they've used the same upper torso. No, they haven't. They've used ab crunch here. However, I'm not quite sure how it's worked, but the top of the half of the mold is definitely the same molding as the Venom. It's just been shrunk down a little, but you do get that butterfly joint there, which is amazing. I cannot get over how far back those arms are going. That is fantastic. That's a really great posability options there. And in fact, at this point, I'm actually going to bring in the Secret Wars Captain America, which is the most recent cap we've had. Having this cap is pretty much the reason I was very reluctant, or I was on the fence about getting this 2-pack, because I've just picked him up last year and I absolutely love the figure. However, you can see here they have really outdone themselves. This one had no butterfly joints at all. We've still got some great posability, but no butterfly joints. Similar torsos, but they've got a bigger muscular mold, and he's got those new butterfly joints, which are amazing. Otherwise, it's the same ab crunch and torso swivel, which doesn't look too bad. If you've seen other videos where I've looked at Marvel Legends figures with these same molds, I'm never a big fan of this torso swivel unless it's really hidden by a belt. This one isn't. That belt's molded into his lower body, but it doesn't look too bad on this cap. Legs are the same as far as I can tell. They've just used a different color blue. So this is a much darker blue. This is almost a aqua color, I'd say. It's gorgeous. It's a fantastic figure. I absolutely love it, and I love the coloring on this. But once you get this blue in hand, this blue on cap is just, that is a Captain America blue there. Looks absolutely spectacular. Besides that butterfly joint, which I cannot get over those butterfly joints. Besides that, all of the joints and articulations are the exact standard Marvel fare. Ball joint and swivel at the head, so we can get him looking far back, quite far, down, really far. The butterfly joint again. Those arm swivels, bicep, double pinless, elbows, hand swivels. We've seen the ab crunch and swivel, thigh swivel, double knees. We actually get a boot cut, which is a nice touch. And then the standard ankle twist and swivel there. Then for accessories, as we saw at the beginning of this, he has his shield, which can be clipped onto the arm here. As I've mentioned, these have a tendency to fray and snap, so please be mindful of that. I always feel the comic book Captain America shields are a little too small. I feel even the Secret Wars is slightly bigger. I just feel the comic book shield does need to be a little bit bigger. But it is what it is. It's the standard shield we've been getting for quite a while now. So it's nothing we can't work around and get our figure in some poses here, and then that blast effect just comes in and clips on. Does it? Oh, yeah, that's a nice tight fit around the shield, so you can get him charging forward with that shield effect. there. So at the end of the day, yeah, I can't speak highly enough of this 2-pack. These 2 figures are now 2 of my favourite Marvel Legends figures. The butterfly giants, I just can't get over how spectacular they really are. They look amazing. Really, really spectacular. I love the paint apps on both of them. They've worked wonders with those blues. They are really striking and vibrant and very comic book-esque. You know, if you have another Cap, I still feel that this one is so amazing in what they've done with so little changes to previous molds that it's still worth seeking him out, whether you manage to buy him separately online or as the 2-pack. Yeah, I would highly recommend both figures, and that if it's your kind of thing, you like the Venom, you like Cap, or you need them both, this pickup is an absolute must. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, freedom is a right, not a privilege.